Hey, we are back. All things 3D. We're live at Real 2015 up in beautiful San Francisco. I'm your co-host, Chris.
Hi, I'm Mike.
I'm with Mike. We're here live at the Wharf. It's a really cool new show. It's a brand new show, Real 2015. This is the first year they've done it. Real exciting stuff. Basically, we're talking about how did it was Steve we had on the program yesterday.
Robert.
Robert Scher was on the program yesterday, and what was the word? What was the word that he came up with? Or the it's like physical.
Yeah, it was real computing.
Yeah, or something like that. But it basically it's a much broader spectrum. It's not only 3D printing. We're seeing 3D scanners. A lot of the 3D scanning companies are here. And 3D interaction and kind of like it's all things 3D. It really incorporates all things 3D, and it's a really great time to be here. Just so much forward-thinking technology. We saw the release of Project Memento, which is an Autodesk thing yesterday. So some talks on that, and yeah, I don't know what are some of your favorites, Mike? What have you been?
Well, I've been up here most of the time, so with that being said, I don't really ooh, I'm all in white back here. The problem with this is that we have this large window pane. If you saw it from, actually you don't see it because I've got it all bloomed out so that you can see my face in this kind. But if you watched our interview yesterday, the guy looked like originally I bumped up the in post the brightness, but it looked like he was like undercover or something. I wanted to mask his voice to give it that kind of creepy sci-fi. What is it called?
When they
The
protect your
truth is out
identity.
there. No, what was it? X-Files.
Oh,
Yeah,
X-Files.
I felt like the X-Files. But no, I haven't gone into heaven or whatever you want to call it. I'm still here with Chris. But, on that note, there is a ton of stuff. And as you know, I'm a big scanning enthusiast.
Sure.
And actually have been working with a Occipital, who I'm hoping Adam doesn't forget to come on up and be our guest crasher today. I brought down and gave them my iPhone 6 version that they haven't really been working with, so they can actually test it out there on the floor. Also, I gave it already, but did I show it on last Friday, the new scans that I got, or did I get those? Yeah, I guess I did. I got 2 new scans from Shapeways. Yeah, one was Siobhan in the Day of the Dead makeup. You'll see her on the our little webcam streaming broadcast system when we go out on the floor. And the other one I did using this Connect 1.8 software, and you have to see it in person. If you see what Artec is showing on their website and some of these other services, in fact, the guy that we had on last week, they're spending 65 to, in case of Artec, their system is $120,000. And if you compare the thing that I created, which is, you could do full body, but I just did upper torso, it compares really well for $600.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the scans, even the little miniature you did of me, that I gave Renee for Valentine's Day, it was pretty awesome. And you did that right on your little occipital, So yeah, the price of the scanners are definitely coming down. There's definitely a different, different categories of scanner. Some of these other ones are more automated.
Yeah, why don't you talk about them? What are these some of these other types?
So Artec, has a booth where it's automated, and it's basically got 4 kind of high end. They look like a huge Connect. They look like a Connect that's about this big, and so there's 4, and it rotates around with
Okay,
LED
that's the
lighting.
Shapeify system.
Yeah, so it's pretty sophisticated. I'm sure that the price point will move down. As more consumers adopt it, or as more business people get into it, and kind of as the generations progress, probably. But for early adopters, you generally pay more. So that's probably where the cost of the system is. Any startup, they have to charge that to make it work. So. But it is a pretty cool system, and I definitely see it as the future of portraiture myself. you know,
Yeah,
the,
well, but the point is, we've had their salesperson that I also went on the floor and spoke to, and doing an interview. And if you do a cost breakout, even if they were using their more expensive Artex scanner, can't remember the name right offhand, that's $20,000. As you said, there are four of them. That would make 80,000, and so that would be their low end. But then obviously you have the construction of the booth. But I did not expect it to be another $40,000. That's still a $120,000 investment. And as we talked about last night, unless you live in a metro area, how are you going to amortize that over how many years in order to
yeah,
make a
well,
profit?
yeah, I think it's all about business model, and they'll obviously have to meet the market. Any of these companies, they've probably done the math. They probably are seeing they obviously are probably testing the market themselves and trying to find the market and seeing what price points work for the models and the scans. And so you know, I definitely think that they'll probably adjust accordingly to the market. But who knows? I think for anybody that's getting into a professional business nowadays, you understand that there's a certain amount of equipment, initial purchases you have to make on equipment and infrastructure and those kinds of things. And anymore, 140,000 bucks, to have a professional grade scanner that's automated, that you could probably do scans. You could probably do maybe 100 scans in a day. I don't know how many scans you could do in a day with the system. I think they say it's about a 5-minute process. um, I could
Yeah,
see
so
I could
hopefully,
see I could see running a profitable business with that
mm,
if you had it booked 24/7, or if you had it booked 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day. I could see if you had the right price point and people are willing to pay for it, which I think, again, that goes back to market. That goes right with market adoption. Not everybody is going to do it right away, and that's another kind of roll of the dice or a gamble you take as a business person. Is you know when you are an early adopter and you're buying the most expensive equipment out there, it's only a matter of time before 2 or 3 years goes by, and then there's models of the same software or the same equivalent equipment that's either half the price or a tenth of the price. In a lot of cases, you look at a lot of these 3D printing companies. 3 years ago, Stratasys was they were the only one on the market that you could buy. Like, there was a commercially made machine. MakerBot was just getting off the ground, but it still kind of had it. There wasn't really. It was more of a tinker hobby toy. But now there's a lot of really great machines out there. I mean, you look at like the Mark Forged machine or the Lulzbot, or you just look at all these other RepRap style printers that are producing excellent quality, and they're literally like a 40th of the price of a Stratasys machine. So that is one of the gambles or one of the risks that you take as a business person, as being an early adopter. Is you're definitely risking some money in the front, but you also are getting early to the market. So there's benefits to that as well. But the scanning part of things, I think that's a huge thing. We saw.
so what are some of the type of scanners? I mean, you spent a little time this morning,
Yeah,
and
I
why
definitely.
don't
I
you talk
had some
about that a
great
little bit?
chats this morning. I had a chat with the guys from TopCon, which is a Japanese company, and they've been around. It's a Japanese company. They've been around for like 90 years, and they were actually the first company to make digital SLRs. Um, they were them and Nikon right after World War II. They actually were the first company to have, they have some of those crazy Japanese magicians. The Japanese people, they are always just, I don't know what it is, but their gift with technology. They always have these Japanese magicians that always come up with this innovating technology. So, but they once Nikon came to market, and obviously had their what was it, the 1D, the Mark One
Hmm.
was that was like, I remember when that camera came out, it was a big deal. But I guess it became unprofitable for Topcon, so they discontinued their digital SLRs line, because competition started coming into the marketplace. Canon got involved, and then they've gotten into these surveying slash scanning hardware, and it's unbelievable hardware. The stuff that they've got is just incredible. They have mobile mapping stations that go on top of your car. So like when you see there's big mapping companies out there. I think it's Navcom is a big one, and I think they do a lot of mapping for like all the in-car GPSs and Bing and all these things. And so they have this station that goes on your car, and it's like all fully integrated, and it's like a $300,000 thing. It sits on top of your car, and it laser scans and takes photos in 360 degrees at controlled intervals. And the guy was doing a demo. It was pretty incredible, because they're using it, and they're also selling it to like municipal or to like cities, that are so they can have like a guy go drive, or they can have somebody drive around a city. They could drive every street in a couple days, just have like somebody that works for the city go and drive around for a couple days and collect all this point cloud data. It generates all this point cloud data in this beautiful format. And they work with it works with Autodesk has a program it works with. That's really why they're here, because Autodesk is like the main sponsor of this whole event. And so they pull it into the software, and you can like drive around and see everything. And it's not just pictures like Google Maps is in 360. It's actually you actually have all the point cloud data, so you can actually generate CAD data from it. So it's good for if you were planning projects for roadways and all these things. So unbelievable. That's just one of the things TopCon had. TopCon also they have these pretty sophisticated surveyor, trying to remember what they call them. They're like when you see a transit for a surveyor, they go out and they have like a post with that's a control point, and they shoot the line. I don't really know too much about surveying. I'd love to learn more about it, but they have these ones that do it all automatically. It's even got like an iPad on there, and you could do layouts. And one of the cool things that he was showing me, and this is the only system that they have that does this yet, is TopCon has you can actually do a 3D layout. You could be standing in your 3D model and be shooting points in the building, so you can plan where pipes go, or if you want to dig a trench or something. You could be standing inside the 3D geometry on the iPad, actually seeing the building in real time, shooting your points, and then sending that data back to the cloud that goes right into the CAD software that Autodesk has. So absolutely amazing, like just breakthroughs on the CAD scanning forefront. So there's a lot of cool things. I would say that probably my favorite thing that I've seen so far on the show floor this morning, just walking around, was they have like this boat downstairs. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's insane. They've got Zodiac rafts, right? They're like a rubberized, that that's what like the Navy SEALs, you see the Navy SEALs, they get off the boat, and it's like a dinghy, well, that those rubber, it's like a big rubber thing that goes around the boat. That's a Zodiac raft.
Oh,
that's what
okay.
I always think of the Zodiac when I see that. Well, they have this big one downstairs that's got these two, it's like a catamaran style thing, but it's autonomous, and it like adjusts automatically with the waves. It's got like suspension built in, and it's got all that, and it's electric. It's got these two badass electric motors coming off the back, and the whole battery system and everything is up on this kind of like raised, I want to say crow's nest type system, but it's absolutely incredible. If you want to check it out, I think you can find a picture of it. I'll look it up on my. I took a picture of it. You should really check it out. Okay. It's by Autodesk, like put it together, but they had this in there. It's Autodesk Maritime R&D, and it was like I think he called it the MAV something or other. So let's pull that up. Autodesk Maritime R&D. absolutely incredible machine. And they had a bunch of other cool stuff. Tech Shop's got a mobile tech shop
Mm-hmm.
kind of satellite, and I got a chance to walk through that. Maybe we'll get an interview with them a little later today and talk to them, find out about them. But they've got a trailer that's packed with toys, 3D printers and
Wow.
lasers, and so and it's all educational. And they've got like a electronics workstation where you could like solder. And so their idea is to take tech shop and kind of move it out anywhere they have a tech shop, is to move out into the community and like go to a school and kind of support classrooms and teach people, and then have have those kids, if they want to bring it back to tech shop, bring their projects back to tech shop. It kind of goes out and pulls people from the community into the tech shop. I think it's a really great idea, and it's brilliant marketing. So yeah, so and then that's pretty much the extent of my walk this morning so far. But yeah, there's we saw yesterday Leica has their drone for aerial surveying, aerial mapping. So they'll be flying that around. Hopefully we'll get some footage of that a little later today. And we've got some real exciting guests coming up on our program later today.
We sure do. In fact, I'm going to bring it up. There we go. I'll have to jump back to our screen. But let me make sure we're still broadcasting. Yeah, we are. Remember we talked about Memento. So I downloaded it and I played with it. So I'm actually going to bring it up right now so we can see it. Actually, let's go to their website first, and then I'll have to launch that. Okay, so give me a moment. All right, so you're going to see some infinite windows, audience, but that'll go away in a second. Okay, so you should see, let's make sure. Yeah, so you are now seeing their website. This is Autodesk Memento, and it is at memento.autodesk.com /about, but I guess if you click on the actual icon, okay, it's just sitting there doing nothing. So I'm just going to kind of go through it real quick. So this is called high definition 3D from reality. One of the things that was identified in the lunch presentation yesterday is that this thing is capable of working up to 2 billion. Chris, while I've got this screen capture up, could you go ahead and close that window for me, please? Yeah. Thank you. So it has some really neat features, and I played with it yesterday, and I have the application up, and I will bring that up here shortly. And let me see. Oh yeah, you should actually, yeah, you should see our little heads. We are in the picture, by the way. But since I only have one screen, I have to share it. So if we look like we're funky right now, it's because we can't actually see what we're doing. But getting back to it, so going through the website here, it has, oh, it just died on me. Hopefully I didn't lose my, no, we're still recording. Huh, well, that's interesting. Well, I guess they didn't want me to show their site. Okay, so give me a moment. I'm going to drop back to your camera, Chris, and then
so
hang on a second.
We should. I found what I was looking for. It's called the WHAM-V, and it's Autodesk has one downstairs. They have this WHAM-V research vehicle. If you head out to wham-v.com, which is a marine advanced research, they've got this one, and you can see the one that looks similar to the one downstairs. It says WHAM-V USV plus Google Trekker. So it's basically a platform. It's kind of like an electric boat platform that's autonomous if you want. They have a piloted version, but it's pretty incredible little electric boat, and they apparently they've partnered with Google. This guy that creates the boats, he's a pretty renowned boat builder. You should check out these pictures on this website, and it's electric boat. I mean, come on, that's just cool.
Yeah, well, give me a moment. I'll bring it right back up. So go ahead and keep talking while I finish doing
Yeah,
this.
and so the WAM-V is one they have down there. They also have a bunch of the. There's going to be a presentation later today that I kind of got a briefing on, and hopefully we'll have the guy that did the work on our show. We'll have a chance to get an interview with him.
Okay.
But he went out and he's scanning using this Memento project that Autodesk launched, and he's showing the capabilities. He took a digital SLR in an underwater housing, took it down into the coral reefs and took photos of the coral reefs. And he has these. So then they brought it into Project Memento, and to show off how high quality the photogrammetry is on this using Memento,
Mm-hmm.
it's taking the whole photogrammetry to the next level. It really is Project Memento. He has a 3D print of this coral from the
So this
work
was
that he
at the
did.
Project Memento site? Yeah, I don't.
No, it's not. I don't believe it's on the site yet. I think he's launching it today.
Okay.
But incredible print of coral. I mean, the coral looks real. It looks like real coral, but it's clear because he printed it. It looks like maybe with PolyJet or SLS or something. So pretty cool. We'll hopefully be able to sit in on his symposium later. It's supposed to be a pretty cool one.
Okay, so what was that website that you had just a moment ago?
WAM-V,
WAM.
WAM-V.com. Yeah,
So
and
let's see if that'll come up.
they have a bunch of. They have one of the interesting things that it
Oh,
talks
cool.
about is that it's multifunctional. It's wave adaptive, so it's not like a conventional boat that it actually has a suspension system that conforms to the water. So if you look at the boat, the way that it's designed is it's like a boat with suspension. It's cool. So like can just ride nice and easy over the water, I guess. It's modular, scalable, stable, maneuverable, transportable, environmentally conscious, it claims. So
Yeah, for some reason, I'm not getting any connection to the outside world, so which is not good.
got it. So yeah, but the boat itself is just it's pretty awesome to see up close and personal. I'm always into I'm a big boat lover. I've always been a boat lover. I like to dive, and seeing boats like this, so forward thinking, just like a totally new era. So, and the other cool thing is it's autonomous. So they had this like platform that they designed. It says like Autodesk Maritime Research, and it's got like but it's like just so heavy duty. It's like the heaviest duty joystick RC car controller you've ever seen. It's like this big in a Pelican case, and it's so awesome. So, and they can drive the boat around, or the boat, tell it, hey, go here, go out to the Channel Islands. No, I don't know what the range is on this particular boat, but I'm sure
Okay.
And
Well, let me bring up Memento. Again, I apologize, our internet connection. Luckily, I guess it sucked everything for the Google Hangout, which I'm glad is working. So what next? Well, so what I'm going to do now is actually go out to the application itself, and let's see if we can work. Again, apologize for the infinite mirror, but here we go. So let's see if we're. Oh, okay, and
yeah,
okay.
so the Project Memento.
Okay, so we actually have it up. So I've loaded it. So I'm looking at the dashboard. It's a very clean environment. Kind of looks like a high-res iPad app, except better. Very icon oriented. One of the things that they really are trying to push with a lot of their applications is easy interface, easy to use, kind of apparent what you're working with. And I was able to bring in, remember, it's one of the things that I mentioned before is that you're able to bring in your own meshes. Hey, Adam's here. Come on in. So, well, we'll come back to Memento. This is Adam, who's actually you may not have met.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, Adam?
Hey, good, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, great to see you.
Okay, so let's see. We'll have to move the camera a little bit so both of you are in there. Okay.
Guest crashing.
Yes. Great.
So how's the show been going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. You know, we didn't really know what to expect because it's obviously a new show.
Right.
But, you know, there's a really fascinating group of companies here, you know, highly, highly relevant to the whole space. And it's interesting for us because I think we're more consumer focused than a lot of the other companies here.
Sure.
So we kind of,
There's a lot of B2B going
a
on.
lot of B2B stuff, a lot of the sort of traditional $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000.
Point the mic more towards Adam, if you wouldn't mind.
Or even 300,000,
Or,
like
yeah.
we were seeing with a lot of the we were just talking about what was the company that I was talking to earlier, which is Topcon.
Oh yeah.
They've got some
Yeah.
real sophisticated
Yeah.
kind of mapping type stuff,
Yeah.
you know. That
But it's pretty fascinating for us to see that kind of stuff, just because those are the companies that have sort of led us to where we are now. And you know, I don't think we're going to eliminate those companies, but we just sort of take the things that they've done that have only been accessible to bigger, you know, corporate clients, and we're sort of making a version of that accessible to everybody.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Yeah, it's like I was actually saying just a few minutes ago that like 3 years ago, Stratasys was the only like real commercial player in the 3D printing game. Like as far as like if you wanted to get into FDM, that's who I took the gamble and bought a machine from 3 years ago, and now there's hundreds of manufacturers that produce a similar quality print
Yeah.
for a 40th or a 20th or a 10th of the price, you know, and so we're seeing, and it's more opened up to the consumer market now. And so it's definitely it's definitely interesting to see this, you know, kind of this whole market kind of bloom.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And kind of price of everything's come so far down.
So putting my producer hat on, we're going to have to point the mic when we talk. It's not omnidirectional. I apologize. I should have thought of that ahead of time. So obviously I've been working with Adam and Jeff for some time now and have my own series of stuff. So I guess I'm playing a little bit of a favoritism here. But more importantly, one of the reasons that I was attracted to them was it was inexpensive. They started out as a Kickstarter. It did really well as a Kickstarter. And you guys have just been moving along in the last year. So you're kind of old hats, and you know your team has done a really good job and been very innovative. Obviously, I've had an opportunity to see some things that I can't bring up now because I'm under that horrendous NDA cloud. But it's really impressive. Jeff gave a talk yesterday. I think it may actually be on YouTube now. I think he was part of a roundtable discussion. And one of the things that I think he brought up was RGBD. So why don't you tell us about RGBD? What is RGBD?
Well, so RGBD is a method of motion tracking for 3D scanning. And maybe I'll start by talking about what's been done to date, which has just been D. So when we've looked at our own motion tracking for 3D scanning in the past, has simply looked for informative geometry on the model and tracked against that. So for instance, if you had a human face and you started scanning it, you have different sort of geometric features on the face that you can then lock the scanner to, and as you continue to scan around that object, it's able to maintain tracking because it understands the geometry.
Yeah, and the important thing here is it's tracking without markers, so it's using the distinct geometric points like cheekbones, nose, in order to compensate for each time you rotate.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, if they're big enough.
Jesus. Okay.
But you know, while it's actually a pretty robust system on its own, but it's not entirely robust. And you know, one of the things Jeff talked about yesterday was that our goal is to make this, you know, dead simple for a first timer to pick up our device and capture a great scan. You know, you can think about it almost like autofocus with a camera. Prior to autofocus, you handed an SLR to somebody who'd never taken a picture before, and they simply wouldn't know how to get great results. But autofocus takes care of those issues for them and makes it, tremendously easy for somebody to get a great result the first time around. So the same thing is true now with RGBD tracking. One of the things we often see when we hand somebody a structure sensor for the first time and they open a 3D scanning app is they reach for the closest object, which happens to be a can of Coke or a coffee cup, which for a depth-based tracker is terrible because there's no informative geometry. It's all symmetrical. So what the RGB component does is it adds in color data to tracking. So now in addition to tracking geometry, you also have color to track against. And oftentimes geometrically symmetrical objects will actually have very informative color data. So that gives us more information to track against, and therefore it doesn't lose tracking.
You made that sound simple.
That's his job.
Yes. It's simple as a user. It's difficult technically.
Yes.
Yeah, I
So,
can imagine.
Yeah, and obviously putting on my developer's hat, it is very difficult. There's some things you can do. You essentially convert the color into what they call false coloring, and then you do edge analysis on it. And however, and this is one of the reasons you have to use the iPad Air 2, you need computational power behind it because now you're adding another layer. But it is something that, again, keep in mind is trackerless. You don't have to have markers, but I'm assuming that if you did put some type of markers on it, it may actually help. The other thing, but it actually does a very good job on its own. The other important thing that really, in all scanning systems seem to have an issue with it, and that is reflective surfaces. But I did find that there are ways of getting around that. You can use a matte spray or things like that. So even, you still have that issue, but one of the things that I have found, and this is the feedback I've given Jeff, is that noses are horrendously bad. You'll get to a particular point and either they're really distorted, which still be an issue, or you lose tracking on it, and depending on the size of the nose, sadly, it can be an issue. And we've really, I provided a lot of feedback on that, and it's really improved.
Yeah. Nobody has that problem when they're scanning me. So,
well, one of the things that I've suggested in some of my tutorials is not start face on, work off, and use those characteristics we just talked about, the geometric. So if you have your nose more from a profile, and actually it's more of a 45, then you pick up some of that information, then you rotate it, and it seems to work better in capturing the nose properly.
That's something where, so an issue like that, as we're still sort of at the sort of the bleeding edge of making these systems sort of foolproof, we still run across these types of issues from time to time. But one of the great things about something like the structure sensor, or I'm sure Google Tango or RealSense, is that these limitations aren't imposed by the hardware; they're imposed by the software. And software is simple to improve. Well, relatively simple to improve over time, and which is actually something you've probably seen with the structure sensor. If you compare what it can do now versus what it did a year and a half ago, it's just been a massive leap forward. And ourselves and all the other companies that are pursuing these devices, benefit from being able to push these same types of advances.
Well, but and again, I'm not playing favorites here. There's a reason that I chose the structure sensor. You've got a year on something. Google Tango gets a lot of airplay because they're Google, but I know a couple of developers and they're finding the hardware versus software is really in its infancy. They promote some depth. A lot of these are what they call depth capturing type devices, and it's really in its infancy. It's actually like in the beginning of Connect because of the type of sensing system that it uses. I think it's stereoscopic. And then we've got another company that we've had on, or actually are hoping to get on, which is Soft Kinetics, that uses line of flight. No, is that right? Time of flight. Line of flight. There we go. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that essentially uses another form of lasers where you essentially transmit a laser and then you measure its time coming back. But it has its difficulties, again, in reflective surfaces, and also having enough computational power. And one of the things a lot of people aren't aware of is the, what do you want to call it, the space between pixels, because it has to project the laser each time and then measure it. It takes time to do that, and that's not in real time unless you have multiple bursts, which I don't know if anybody's doing yet. And so you've got to move it, and that takes time. So one of the things that is good about structured light is that it's 1/30 of a second, and now they're moving close to that, but they're not getting the mesh detail that a structure sensor is getting. However, I've been told that there's a secret sauce coming out, and we'll see in Soft Kinetic's new version, which I've been told, but I was told that I was wrong, but I'm not wrong, that MakerBot will be putting out a scanner that works off of that. However, structure sensor has a head start. They've really made some good strides.
And onto the structure sensor, when, because the consumer version is coming.
Well, the consumer version's here, actually.
It is.
So, you know, we launched the structure sensor initially on Kickstarter back in September 2013.
Yeah, we had you on in September for your 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. And then we started doing what we call general availability in early July 2014. So really, actually, at this point, it's been maybe 7 or 8 months that we've been in the market. We've primarily been selling through our website, but now we're starting to build up distribution around the world with different resellers. And probably the biggest thing, though, is getting to those end user applications that are dead simple to use. And so 3D scanning has been one that's been available ever since the beginning with ScanAct, for instance, and the ability to use our uplink feature to stream over Wi-Fi from the structure sensor to ScanAct. But we're also starting to look at things like gaming, for instance.
Yeah, let me interrupt for there. You brought an iPad, right? But did you bring a sensor on it?
Actually, I didn't bring an iPad.
Okay, I'm gonna let you guys keep talking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set up the iPad, and
Okay.
do I have your permission to go ahead and show Chris the game?
Yeah, I think you can go
Okay,
ahead and do that.
so let's do that. I'll set it up. You guys can keep talking,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna put the camera on you and let you experience it for yourself. And we got a nice space here to do it in. It's beeping awesome. All right, keeping it family friendly.
So I guess the consumer version of the occipital or the structure sensor is already here.
Yeah, it's already here, and the great thing is that you know, the basic design of the device hasn't changed. It's again just the software that improves over time.
And so now the development part is all going to be in the software, and you guys have some kind of breakthrough stuff. Obviously, this game is one of them, but I guess there's some other stuff. Do you want to talk about any of this stuff, or like
yeah, I mean, I can talk about a few things. So you know, one of the things we like to emphasize is that, you know, the structure sensor, it's not just a 3D scanner. 3D scanning is an application for the structure sensor. And we have a pretty broad vision for what you can do with mobile depth sensing. And so, you know, some of the things that we've already started to show through the sample applications from our SDK beyond 3D scanning are things like indoor capture. So being able to capture a full model of the room we're in right now and being able to do incredible things with it. Like, for instance, understand every single measurement all at once, or, you know, you could build an application that lets you visualize different colors on the walls or furniture in this room. So that's one pretty fascinating thing, which is we have all these indoor spaces that we live in and work in and visit. And, you know, wouldn't it be great to have a model of those spaces available anytime, whether we're there or not?
Yeah.
So that's.
So you could have you could build an app called like clutter cleaner, and you could just walk around and it's like, that's clutter, clean it up.
Yeah.
Tell you, clean that.
you could totally do that.
Dirt over here. Get to the vacuum. Get your Dyson out.
I mean, that would be the worst app in the world for me, because I would be getting nothing but notifications that there's clutter everywhere. But yeah, I mean, you know, we think that it's going to change how people shop, for instance. So, you know, right now, let's say that you wanted to buy a sofa for your living room. Right now, your options would be to go to the store, see if you like it, but then you wouldn't know until you've got it in your space what it looks like. But wouldn't it be great to point your iPad with your structure sensor at the corner of your room where your current sofa is, say, erase that sofa. As you see through your iPad, it disappears, place a new one, and you'll be able to walk around.
Amazon Prime, order.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
I want this lamp over here. Oh, that's pretty interesting to think about.
So that's a pretty fascinating sort of view into the future we think is going to happen, where everybody's going to have depth sensing capabilities on their devices that let them do fascinating things like this. But of course, as Mike's going to show in a second here, when you have knowledge of space around you, you can do more than just capture models of it or visualize things in it. You can actually use your depth sensor in an active mode to understand where you are in that space. And by understanding where you are or how you move in that space, it can create new experiences on your devices. So that's just another angle which we've been starting to move down. That just shows the sort of the breadth of possibilities with these kinds of devices.
I also see it's like any technology. Anytime this innovation happens, it's like it literally is Pandora's box, because it's like 10,000 other auxiliary things that you never could even foresee in a million years all of a sudden start unfolding. I mean, you look at like even the Kinect. They come out with the Kinect. Nobody had any idea that the Kinect, something $99 little Microsoft thing, would have all the implications that it has, and on 3D scanning and just do it yourself. I mean, when they opened up the SDK for everybody, and now it's just like unfolding and turning into this. But like I even see like a day where you have the structure sensor, and I mean I've read these things where researchers now are using some sort of, I don't know if it's sonar or what their actual sight system is.
Yeah.
But they have it linked into the taste buds of blind people, and so
really?
blind people, because taste is actually one of your most like sensitive, or your tongue is your most sensitive area on your body or something, right? And so they somehow transmit electrical impulses onto your tongue, and it allows blind people, almost like a bat, using their ears to see. And so they've worked with blind people, and obviously, they say that blind people, when they have, their sense of smell and taste is heightened because they've lost that one. So they obviously, they say blind people have better hearing and all these things. So I could see like someday incorporating the structure sensor or something like the structure, into something that allows blind people to see using one of their other senses.
So interestingly, actually one of the first applications that was developed for the structure sensor was done by one of our engineers, a guy named John Demir. And what he did was he created what he called structure sonar. And what it was is he took a pair of glasses, he put a structure sensor across the front, and he essentially turned it into a sonar device. So as you got closer to a wall, you would hear it beep and it would accelerate in its sort of frequency. And so that would allow somebody to navigate through a space without any sort of vision, but using audio to help them understand.
Yeah, and I took that one step further because they gave me that app, and I converted it into stereo. So as you moved, it would give you left and right, and built. If you remember, I had that head bracket and had it. I think I sent you guys an image of it. So you actually put it on. So that was. Did you guys go anywhere with that, or is that?
It was a side project, and we just had so many other things to focus on. It's been on the back burner, but I'm sure John and Mir would love to.
Well, maybe when I get some time, I'd like to do that as well. Okay, well, let's kind of jump into this. I'm going to kind of position the camera here as you go. Maybe stand out there
we'll stand up.
and give him a. Now, notice what I've got in front of that. That's not your lens. That is a wide-angle lens. Do you want to talk about that? Are you?
Well, let's focus on the position tracking. So what I'm going to show you is a game.
Okay.
That uses the structure sensor and the space around us to play it. So what I'm going to do is open this application. And we're going to...
Go ahead and point the screen at us so we can kind of see it. Yeah, I can.
So, Casey, as we're moving around,
Okay.
we're going to keep it. So I'll just show you briefly what's happening here. So as we move around,
Yeah. Go ahead and give it to him and let him actually.
Oh, whatever. This is too cool.
Yeah, don't point it into the light though.
Work.
Just hold it in. Should be good.
Work.
Try one. If you like, you can touch it and lock.
Yeah, lock it and move towards away from the light. But go ahead and move.
Oh, so it's like, oh, it's all relative.
Yeah. And then if you get close to a wall, it'll tell you that you've gotten too close.
I'm getting time.
Yeah.
Store the room.
Yeah, you're out of camera now, so.
It tells me this means you, Steve.
So maybe try to grab one of those coffee cups.
I want that. I need that. No, not that.
So Adam, are you aware of what Jeff and I are planning to do next?
No.
We are going to put that on a headset.
Oh.
And we're testing it with the VR1, and then I have another company that I backed on Kickstarter that's going to be sending me 2 versions, one for the iPhone 6 Plus as well as for the iPad Mini, which right now is underpowered, but the 4 should be coming out soon.
Yeah.
And we're going to be converting that to a full headset.
That sounds pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna do it.
Okay. So if you're tuning in now, what's going on is Chris is actually interacting with the game that they introduced at CES, and then we kind of showed it there. But unless you've actually experienced firsthand, you don't really get an understanding of how immersive it is to be able to move around in your environment. Because of the structure sensor, it does real-time room scanning. It's able to provide with minimal latency information, so you literally can walk around in the virtual reality. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to convert this into a headset and give you a VR experience, kind of like the HoloLens, but something different that up until this point required a backpack. Look up above yourself, Chris, and there are things hanging. If you shoot them down, you'll need those blocks later on.
Is that your voice?
Yeah, that's our one of our engineers.
What happened to I kill myself? Yeah.
So we actually designed this game to be hard to solve. So because we actually want people to genuinely get engaged with it and play it over and over again. So.
Oh my God, you're gonna blow up.
I think he's got it.
Now notice that it uses all the sensors in the iPad as well, so he's able to rotate the pad and actually pour stuff into a container. So not only does it track where you're in 3D space, but it uses all the sensors as well. So you want a hint, Chris?
Oh, I got it.
Are you blocking the laser?
I got it.
He's a game player. Okay, well, I've got Chris preoccupied here. Why don't you come on back into the picture, Adam? We can talk a little bit more. We'll just have him play in the background. Go ahead and take his chair.
Sure. So Chris, I'd say, is one of our best first-time players of this game ever.
Well, he's a game player, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But he's also a 3D guy, so I guess that might help.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is that unless you actually experience, you don't really, I mean, I try to describe it to him, but obviously you don't really get it until you played with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought, let's move this to the headset. And I've adapted the VR1 already with my Neoti mount so that we can put that on the front of it. And then this new one will come in to do something similar, but the headset is actually cheaper. VR1 is $100. This other one is $39.95.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see some real good potential there.
Yeah.
What do you think, huh?
That's a really, really, really fun way to do that.
So that's I mean, that's an experience where, you know, this is something that a lot of people have thought, well, it's a 3D scanner, but we sort of through that prove that there's way more you can do with this.
Yeah, and what's cool is like, I mean, we've always like kind of you know, visualized that, or always I've seen like, you know, proposed technology demos. You see it in the HoloSync, but like this is it. It's like already here.
It works.
It's happening.
See, I told you.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's happening.
Microsoft is a year, maybe 2 years out. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
And notice we say we. I don't.
Cool. Well, I should probably run back down.
Yeah, Adam, thank you for coming on in and being our guest.
The demo. That was
cool.
fun.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
So, hey, if you're out here at Real 2015, you got this up and running in your booth?
We do.
Okay. So head out there. I actually brought in an iPhone 6 variant that hopefully you guys are testing out. Go ahead and meet them out there. They've got a little booth down there, but they've got some cool stuff. And then obviously Real 2015 has a lot of other neat stuff to look at as well. But again, you guys are seasoned in this market. You've got a year of programming experience, and you've really brought some new things to this. Not saying the other people don't have things in the waiting, but you know, you've got things that are hitting the market now. Okay. So Chris, why don't you sign us off? Thank you.
Thanks so much. Awesome. So, well, you know, I think we should take a clue from him and go hit the show floor and go see some other stuff.
Well, actually, we've got an interview, so maybe you can go down and maybe line up some people this afternoon. So our schedule today is we have an interview at 11 with Elmer, who's from Autodesk. And then after that, we can either start right into it or we can take lunch. But I was thinking if we take a lunch, maybe starting at 12:45 or 1 o'clock, heading the floor, and then we'll be back up here at 2:30. Actually be at 2 for an interview at 2:30 with, oh gosh, I keep forgetting her name, Tachet or something like that. She's known as the Technology Whisperer. So you've got some competition, Print Whisper. So I was thinking that that would be kind of our agenda, and then we can play it by ear. After that, we may have Carl Bass coming up here to get 3D scanned if he has some time for that. The person who invited us here, Shauna, will be back on, and I will be scanning her. So we'll do that on air as well. So does that work out for you, Chris?
Works perfect.
Okay, so great. So we'll sign off. So you got it.
All right. See you. We'll see you in a little bit on our next interview coming up with all things 3D.
Bye.